Hello, Ganesh. Ready and battle.
I'm launching Jupyter Notebook. So for your previous classes, whatever the script I took, I will select that thing only. So here previously I selected or I wrote everything in the desktop one file. That is the file name I kept as basic Jupyter, I think, or Python basic something. Yeah, we kept the name as Python basics. So I am opening that script only. So here it is the script which I explained you everything in the previous classes. So in the today's class, here I'm starting the concept called strings. So coming to strings, so first we will see how to define a strings. There onwards I will start. So here I'm choosing the markdown option to write some text information. So here today we are discussing the concept called strings. So here coming to Python, strings, anything is defined in either single quotations or double quotations, that will be a string. Anything is defined in either double quotations or single quotations, that is a string. So someone might ping in chat. Screen is not clear. I think that is your problem. So from my side, screen is clear. Here coming to the first point corresponding to this topic, anything is defined in either single quotations or double quotation, that is a string. So after this thing, if you want to define a multiple line string, we need to define that thing in either triple single quotations or we need to define in triple double quotations. If you want to define a multiple line strings, we need to define that thing in either triple double quotations or triple single quotations. So here it is a representation of a string. So these are immutable data types. So coming to the string concept, these are immutable data types. So here it is a technical term. So the meaning of this thing is once you define the string, you unable to change that thing. So we can say this thing is not changeable data type. So here coming to Python, strings are immutable data types or not changeable data type. So here it is the thing or it is a description corresponding to this thing. So after this thing, here I'm defining one string. So in this thing, here I'm saying, here I'm defining string in single quotation. So here I'm saying like YAKUB. So I'm defining this string and I'm observing type of this string. So if you observe this type of A, it will return output like string. Same thing here I'm defining in double quotations. So here in this example, I'm changing single quotations with double quotations. It is not returning any error. That means we can define the string in either single quotations or double quotation. So you might get a doubt like, where can I use this single quotations only or where can I use this double quotations only? For that purpose, so here I'm taking simple example. So here I'm saying, so here I'm using single quotations. Here I'm saying, this is Jakub's class. So here I want to use apostrophe in between these. So here I'm saying this is Jakub's class. So here in this thing, I'm using single quotations only. So if you execute this portion, it will return syntax error. That means in any sentence, if you are using apostrophe, that will be considered as end of the string. If you use single quotations, wherever you are using apostrophe, that will be considered as end of the string. On these cases, so you should use double quotations to represent a string. So here, if you want to use any apostrophes in between the string, we need to use double quotations. After this thing, I am executing this portion, then it is not giving any syntax error. Whenever you want to use apostrophes in between any string, we need to define that string in double quotations only. So after this thing, I want to define a one string in multiple lines. So for that purpose, here I'm saying in the triple quotation, here I'm writing, so hi. In the next line, here I'm saying good morning. In the next line, here I'm saying everyone. So here I'm writing some string in triple quotations. So if you observe the type of C, it will again return string only. So here, if you check this thing, it will return string only. So here you can define the multiple line strings in either triple single quotations or triple double quotations. That is the representation of multiple line string. So as I already told you, these are immutable or not changeable data type. Means so once you define the string, you can't modify that thing. That is only the meaning of immutability. So here I'm saying I'm defining a equals to some Yakub. So here I'm saying here I'm using simple string, that is cyber. So in this thing here I'm saying a of 0. So I want to modify the character which is present at the 0th index with y. So here I want to replace this thing with y. So if you try this thing, it will return syntax error. So here which kind of error it is reading? Type error. String object does not support item assignment. That means once you define the string, you can't modify that string. So here these are said as immutable data type. So whenever you want to access any character from the string, we need to use slicing. So whenever you want to access any character from the string, we need to use the basic slicing. So before that thing, I will explain you the simple thing. That is, so here we define the string cyber. So here C presented the index 0. So here indexes always starts with 0. The next y presented the index 1. So after this C presented index 2. Like that, after B we have E presented index 3. So after this thing are presented index 4. So whenever you want to access these attributes with the negative indexing always starts with -1. So if you want to access something from the backside, we need to use negative index. Negative index always starts with -1, and it is this index correspond to -2. So after this thing, this is -3. So after this thing, if you want to access this character, you need to specify -4. And here you want to access this thing, here you need to specify -5. So here you need to remember this thing. Positive index always starts with 0 and negative index always starts with -4. So from the defined string, so initially we define the string a. So I am observing what is there in a. So here in this a we have cyber as an output. So from this cyber, I want to access the character which is present at the 0th index. So for that purpose, we need to use this bracket. So whenever you specify a of 0, that will be written the character which is present at the 0th index. So by using this index values, you can access anything from this string. So here, so by using this basic slicing, you can access any character present in this string. So here initially I specified a of 0. It returns the character which is present at the 0th index. So here I am specifying -1. So whenever you say -1, it will return the character which is present at the last index. So if you want to access that thing with the positive index, we can say here a of 4. So here a of 4 as well as a of -1, both are same only. So here first numbers corresponding to positive indexing, and these numbers are corresponding to negative indexing. So here you need to remember one thing: positive index always starts with 0, whereas negative index always starts with -1. So here next concept corresponding to this strings concept is slicing. So slicing means, so if you want to access the specific portion from the string, is called as slicing. Accessing a specific portion from the string is called as slicing. So for slicing, we have standard syntax. So for this thing, you need to remember that syntax. So here first we will see the syntax for this basic slicing. So if you want to perform the slicing, here initially you need to specify the string name. So in this string name, so whatever the thing you want to slice, you need to specify that thing in this comments. So in this square brackets, first you need to specify the starting index. So here first you need to specify the starting index. After this thing, you need to specify the ending index. So with colon, you need to specify the step size. So here, whatever the attribute you want to specify, you need to separate those attributes with the colons only. So here, first value is starting index, and next value is ending index, and the next one is the step size. So you need to separate all these attributes with the colons only. So we need to separate all these attributes with the colons only. So after this thing, so first we need to remember by default values for this thing. So here by default values, what are the default values? We need to see that thing. So here by default, starting index is always included value. Starting index. So here starting index always included value. So coming to the ending index, it is always excluded value. So here coming to ending index, it is always excluded value. And if you don't specify the step size, by default step size is +1. By default step size is +1. You need to remember this thing. And if you don't specify the starting index, by default 0 will be considered as the starting index. If you don't specify the ending index, by default it will be considered as an end of the string. These are the by default thing. So before going to the concepts, you need to aware of this thing. So here these are the basics. So after this thing, here I'm taking one smaller string. So here I'm defining like we are learning. So here I'm defining one simple string. We are learning machine learning. So here I'm defining string like this. So after defining this string, I want to access specific portion from this thing. So initially in this thing, here I'm saying s. So if you want to perform slicing, we need to specify string name. Next, we need to use this square brackets. In this thing, we need to specify the attributes or parameters. So here, if you observe this example, in this example, here I did not specify the starting index as well as ending index as well as step size too. So here, if you don't specify these parameters, by default, it will consider starting index as 0 and ending index of end of the line. It will be considered ending index of end of line. And by default, step size will be +1. So here, these are the default values. So I'm running this portion. So if you execute this portion, so we did not specify the starting index. By default, it will be considered as 0. And here we did not specify ending index 2. So if you don't specify the ending index, it will be considered end of the string as an ending index. So here we did not specify step size 2. It will consider by default step size. So here by default step size is +1. So here first it will consider 0, 0 plus 1, which is nothing but first character. Then next 1 plus 1, which is nothing but this space. So here in Python, space also have some value. That's why space also printed there. So here, same example here I'm taking. So in this thing, here I'm specifying the double colons. Whenever you specify the double colon, then also it will return same output. So here by default starting index will be 0 only, and by default ending index will be end of the string, and by default step size will be +1. So here it is about this thing. So after this thing, if you observe this example, in this example here I'm specifying the starting index. So here I'm specifying the starting index as true. Sorry, here I want to specify some 4. So here in this thing, here I'm specifying the starting index as 4, and here I'm leaving colon. That means, so from the 4th index to, I want to iterate through this entire string, and I want to return the entire string as an output. So here I'm executing this portion. Whenever you execute this portion, it will return the output from this 4th indexed character. So here it will start with, so here W stands at 0th index, first index, second index, third index, and 4th index. So if you observe this thing, at the 4th index we have R. That means it is starting with R. From the R, it is printing the everything in the output. So here if you observe the default thing corresponding to this thing, here initially we are specifying the step size. Sorry, initially we are specifying the starting index. By default value of the ending index is /n, and by default step size will be, it is considering as +1. So here it is a by default thing corresponding to this thing. So after this thing, if you observe this example, so here in this, so if you observe this example, we are including this the character which is present at the 4th index. If you observe this example, R is present at the 4th index. That means we are including this R. So here, same example here I'm using. So here I'm saying this thing. Whenever you specify this thing, it is printing the output. So by default, here we did not specify the ending index. That means colon before we did not specify the any value. So by default, it will be considered the starting index is 0. So after this, we have 4. So and by default step size is +1. So as you are already aware of this thing, starting index is always included value. That's why it is including the character which is present at the 0th index. So here it is printing the characters present at the 0th index, first index, second index, as well as third index. So as you are already aware of this thing, ending index always excluded value. So here R is present at the 4th index. We are not including that character in the output. So here this is about this thing. So after this thing, if you observe this example, here string name is s only. In this thing, here I'm specifying colon 2. That means by default, I want to print the characters which are presented all the even indexes. That means initially here I'm saying s of 0 colon. So here I want to print this string. I want to check this string till the end of the string. So after this thing, here I'm specifying step size as 2. So if you observe this example here, first it will return the character which is present at the 0th index. After that thing, 0 plus 2, which returns the character which is present at the second index, 2 plus 2. So every time for the starting value, we need to add the step size. Till the by adding the step size, we need to move till this ending index. So the next 2 plus 2, 4, 6, so and dash. So like this, we are moving till end of the string. So it will return the characters which are presented all the even locations. So from this string, we are printing the characters which are presented all the even locations. So here it is about the basic splicing. So here in interviews, so no one asks you this kind of basic questions. So can you please keep your microphones in mute mode? I'm getting disturbance from you guys. So I'm getting disturbance from you guys. Yeah, good. Now I'm not getting any disturbance from you. Thank you. Thank you for your response. So here in this example, what I did, so I did not specify starting index and I did not specify the ending index. Here I specified only step size only. So here I'm taking one more example. In this example, here I'm saying 1:1. So these are the typical interview questions. In interview, someone might ask you this kind of question. So what is the output of this thing? So here it will return only comments. That means it returns null string as an output. Why it is returning null string? So as you already aware of this thing, so we specified the starting index, which is included thing, and finally we are specified the ending index. So ending index means we need to exclude the character which is present at the first index. So here in this case, we need to give more priority to the character which is present at the ending index. That means we need to exclude the character which is present at the first index. That's why it is giving output as an null string. So here in this example, I'm taking one more example. So here it is a typical interview question. So it is a question. What will be the output for this program? What will be the output for this thing? So if you execute this thing, again it returns null string only. So for this, you need to aware of this basic stuff. So I will explain you that thing by taking the whiteboard. So let us assume, so here it is a whiteboard, and here what are the things we specified in this thing? So in this example, we specified the 5:2. That means, so we need to start with the 5. So here we have the index 5. So after this thing, here it is our starting index, this 5 is our starting index, and this 2 is our ending index. So here we need to move from this starting index to this ending index. So by default step size is +1, so we need to add this +1 to this 5. Whenever you add 1 to this thing, so here it will move to 6. Whenever you add one more 1 to this 6, it will become 7. Like that, whenever you add the step size, we are not, so we need to move towards this 2. Whenever you add step size, we need to move towards this thing. Whereas if you consider this example, in this example, if you add the step size, we are moving in opposite direction. That means we are diverging from the starting index. Whenever you add the step size, we are not moving towards our destination. So here in this example, 2 is our destination and 5 is our source point. We need to move towards this 2. Whereas if you are adding the step size, we are moving in opposite direction. So whenever you add the step size, on such cases, if you move towards the opposite direction, that means if you are diverging, then it will return null string as an output. You need to remember that thing. So here, if you add step size as a +1, it returns null string as an output. Whereas if you want to print these characters in the reverse order, here we need to specify the negative step size. So here we need to specify the negative step size. So in this example, if you observe, so here we are starting the output with 5. That means we are including the 5. After that, for 5 we are subtracting -1. 5 minus 1, which is nothing but 4. So 4 minus 1, which is nothing but 3. 3 minus 1, which is nothing but 2. Whereas we need to exclude the ending index. We need to exclude this character. So if you observe this example, it is giving output like the characters which are presented fifth index, fourth index, and third index. Those are error. So here it is a basic thing. So if you want to print the sum string in reverse order, we need to use this thing. So here we need to specify : -1. So here it is about basic slicing. So if you have any doubts regarding this basic slicing, so ask me personally in WhatsApp so that I will help you. So with this, I am concluding the basic slicing. So after this thing, I am starting the concept called string functions. So here in the strings, we have lot of functions. Out of those, so we have only 8 minutes of time. In this 8 minutes, we will discuss important functions corresponding to this thing. So here, first functions are string manipulation functions. So for starting functions are called as string manipulation functions. By using this function, we can manipulate this string defined string. That's why these are called as string manipulation function. So out of these, so functions are, first one is the, so initially I'm checking the what is there in S. So here if you observe this thing, here we are learning machine learning. So here in this thing, here I'm saying S dot capitalize. So here if we want to capitalize the first character which is present in the string, we need to use capitalize function. So here you might get a question like, so sir, as you told already, strings are immutable data types, whereas you are changing string here, right? You might get a that kind of question. So if you observe, so here we are visualizing the output for one instance, we are not modifying this string completely. That's why. So here it is simple manipulation operation. We are not modifying this string permanently. So for that purpose, here I'm showing that thing. So if you observe the original output like this thing only, whatever we defined initially, that is only present in the original string. Whereas by using this manipulation function, we are visualizing the output for one instance only. After this capitalize function, we have upper function. So to convert all the characters into uppercase, we need to use upper function. So like that here, if you want to capitalize the first character present in the string, we need to use this capitalize function. If you want to convert that string into entire uppercase letters, we need to use upper function. If you want to convert the present string into all lowercase letters, we need to use lower function. So after this thing, if you want to convert the string in the form of title case, we need to use string name dot title function. So here in this title, yeah, I'm storing this thing in here, right? And I'm observing what is there in J. So if you observe this thing, here it is a title case format. So here if you observe this thing, whenever the space occurs before that space, every character becomes a capital letter. It is called as title case format. So the next after this thing, we have swap case function. To swap the cases, we need to use this swap case function. Swap case. So to convert the capital characters into a lowercase and lowercase characters into uppercase, we need to use this swap case function. So if you observe this example, here capital letters become small letters and small letters becomes capital letters. So this is the purpose of this swap case function. So after this function, we have validation functions. So before discussing the few important functions, then we will discuss those validation functions. So keep aside validation function. So if you want to know the length of the string, we need to use length function. So here we need to say length of s. So here before this thing, you need to aware of this thing. String majorly, not only strings concept come into data structures also, functions are divided into two types. First one is the external functions and second one is the internal functions. So external functions are the universal function which are specified for the all the data types. So here length is an external function. So here on this string we are performing external operation. Just we are counting the number of characters present in this string. So for that purpose, we are specifying the data type inside this parenthesis. So remember simple logic. Whenever you specify the data type inside this parenthesis or inside this function, those are called as external function. So whenever you access any function with this data operator, those all are called as internal function. So here by using internal function, we are performing the action on internal characters which are present in this string. Whereas by using this external function, we are not performing the internal operation. Externally, we are counting the number of attributes or we are searching something from the string. So here, like this, we have count function also. To count the, so count is an internal function. So if you want to if you want to count the character or substring how many times repeated in the main string, we need to use this thing. So for suppose I want to count the character re how many times repeated in this string s. So here in this thing re is repeated only one time. So if you observe this example, so here only we have re substring. That's why it returns output. So whereas I want to check how many times e repeated in this string. So if you observe this thing, it will return output like 5 times. So if you want to count the number of occurrences of any substring or any character present in a string, we need to use this count function. So after this thing, we have replace function. So for this syntax is, first we need to specify the string name. After specifying the string name, so here dot replace of. So in this thing, we need to specify in this replace function, we need to specify the value. So new value. So here we need to specify the new value, comma old value. Sorry, here it is a reversing old value. Function we need to specify the old value, comma new value. So here it is a syntax old, comma new. So we will see this example. So here I'm taking simple example. I'm taking same string. So here in this string, I want to replace s dot replace. I want to replace machine. So in this thing, I want to replace machine with Python. So I want to replace that thing, and I'm executing this portion. Whenever you observe this output, here output will be in the form of we are learning Python learning. So here initially I define machine here. So I want to replace this machine with the Python. For that purpose, here I'm using replace function. Whenever you want to replace the substring with the another substring, here we need to use this replace function. So like this replace function, we have lot of functions in it. So those are, so first we have very important function is split function. So here I'm defining, so today's date. What is today's date? 18/5/2020. So it is only the today's date, I think. So here I want to split this thing. So here in this split function, I'm not specifying anything. So before this thing, yeah, before defining this thing, I want to split the previous string only. So here I'm splitting the previous string, that is s only, and I'm observing the output. So here remember one thing, split function splits the string and it will return output in the form of list data structure. So here anything is defined in the square bracket that will be considered as list data structure. We will discuss that thing in the next class. So till now remember this thing, split function which is used to split the string, and by default it will return output in the form of list. So here I did not specify the character with which I want to split. So by default it splits the characters or substrings by using the spaces. Whenever the space is there, by using those spaces it is splitting the string. So to make you clear this example, here I'm taking one more example. So here I define the string with today's date. I want to split the string by using this space. So here in this thing, I want to split this string by using hyphen. Whenever you observe this output, so whenever this character occurs with that thing, the string will be splitted and it will return the output. So here we can perform customized splitting also. Customized splitting means here we can specify number of splits also. I want to split only one time whenever this character occurs. So if we execute this thing, it will split the string whenever this character occurs only one time. So here if you want to split like this, we have this function. So by using r split, so we can split same thing from the backside also. By using r split function, we can split this thing from the backside also. I am executing this portion. So if you observe this thing, so we are checking from the backside, that is nothing but right side. Whenever this character appears, we are splitting only one time. So here it is the purpose of split function. So after split function, we have join function. So I want to store this splitted thing, or else, so here I'm performing normal splitting only, and I want to store, yeah, I want to perform this action, and I want to store this thing in string a. Here I'm saying a equals to this thing. So whenever you observe what is there in a, it will return this thing as an output. So here it is returning output as this thing. So after this thing, we have join function. So if you want to join the any splitted string, we need to use join function. So here join of, so what we need to join, so whatever the attributes present in this list a, we need to join those attributes. So here I'm specifying this a. So whenever you observe this output, it is giving output in the form of entire string. So here, so in this quotations, we need to specify the character which you want to join. So here I want to join this thing with the hyphen. I want to join this entire thing with this hyphen symbol. So wherever the split is there, then there I want to specify this character. So here, whenever you specify this character, this will be joined with this specific